someone have to be a well-known celebrity to write a life story memoir?
Surely not. Uh, most of my clients are plain, ordinary people. Some of them tell their whole life story, while others give testimonials or express more private feelings.
Mm-hmm. Yes.
So really, everybody can write his book, sure.
Mm-hmm. Very nice. Interesting, interesting. And when somebody shares life story memoir content, can that be inspirational to the people that read the story?
Sure, because even the simplest life stories convey human convictions and experience, which can be a legacy. So, in fact, every human being can be a philosopher. And also, around those ideas, if all goes well, the book will create a dialogue within the family and the circle of friends around those ideas.
Sure. I like that saying, everybody can be a philosopher. I like that, and I will borrow that if you don't mind. Very nice.
True.
Now, can the life story memoir writing process be therapeutic itself?
Yes and no. Yes, sometimes. Usually, private writers, like we are, have no psychological background or training.
Mm-hmm.
However, a significant part of our clients feel better when their book is completed, because their suffering has been expressed and released. And that can be in the fields of handicap, depression, rape, unfortunately, in some cases, or other such violences.
Yes, I
So
see.
in those cases, in fact, with no professionalism from me, there can be some therapeutic function.
Very nice. Sure. Can the life story memoir writing benefit the family and friends of the life writer also? And if yes, how?
Yes, of course, especially for establishing an intergenerational legacy. But it's not only within the family, it can also be in a wider circle. For example, the members of an association dealing with specific issues like immigration, cancer, disease, or parents of autistic children, etc. Many reasons, in fact.
I see. Sure. Yeah. And do you have any primary advice that you would like to give to the narrators of this story?
Oh, yes, many, and very simple. Very simple. Be sincere. Be yourself. Express spontaneously, thanks to the recording, at your own pace of speech. Don't overthink it. Don't worry about getting the book structure, the right writing, etc. Don't worry about that. That's my business, and I am paid for that. That's my business.
Yeah.
And I should say, tell me, in fact, who you are with your own spoken words. And again, I will translate them in proper written sentences.
I see. Well, would you consider yourself to be a ghostwriter then?
Ghostwriter, seldom, at least in the strict sense. Indeed, in my opinion, a real ghostwriter is someone that is not mentioned in the book at all. But in most cases, the biography writer is mentioned on the cover, usually. It is mentioned as, for my case, written with Pierre Nozières or words collected by Pierre Nozières. So, as you ask me, in my case, usually I'm not a ghost. I have an appearance thanks to the clients.
Mm-hmm. Very good. Very good. Now, from your own experience, what are the most demanding types of biographies to write?
Oh, yes. Mixing opinions with storytelling. That can be demanding, really, because the structure of those books is much more difficult to edit. I have to connect a thematic frame with a chronological storyline.
Yeah.
And that can interfere with the process. Thus, those books, mixing, are the most complex, sure.
Mm-hmm. Sure. I see that.
More time, much more time.
I can see why. Yeah, sure. Now, if somebody wanted to add a family history to their life story memoir, could they add a family history to the book also?
Oh, yes, no problem at all. The first chapters of memoir often deal with the family roots. Then photos and documents can include a family tree, no problem.
Mm-hmm. Nice, sure. Very good. And if someone wanted to share their book with the public and maybe even sell it to them, would they be able to? And is everyone required to? Do you have to do that?
To be honest, publication is usually out of reach when the client is not a celebrity. The only two cases I have experienced were for a politician and a famous sportsman. And in fact, it's a pity, because I have written so many touching books with very valuable social content and information, but those authors had no chance of getting on TV. That's the problem.
Yes.
So,
yeah.
If there is no publication, there is a good alternative solution, which is indie publishing, independent publishing, by themselves, with my help, of course, to organize that.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's a good idea. Independent publishing, that's a good idea. Very good idea. Now, for your service, how do you get paid for your service?
Well, never on possible book royalties. As I said, anyway, publication is not the general rule.
Yeah.
So I am paid, always paid, in fact, even in case of publishing. I am paid by my writing fees only, because my writing fees are connected with the time, the actual time I spent on the books.
Mm-hmm.
And those payments are through invoices that I issue after each writing step. The only thing I recommend to other biographers is to get an initial safety deposit
Mm-hmm.
to get the process secure for me, of course.
Yeah.
We cannot work so much without the security of being paid. And that safety deposit is a good thing. And anyway, it creates an excellent relationship between the client and the writer, because there is never any problem of money. We are paid on our work, and we only get that safety deposit at the beginning to ensure security. That is the main idea. I think it's the best solution, the simplest and the more honest too.
Mm-hmm. Yes, it sounds very simple and very fair also. Very nice,
Fair,
yes.
fair, yes.
And with your website name, what is your website name, and what is the best way for viewers to contact you?
Well, my own website for my own activity is, in French, of course, La Voix et la Plume. That might be translated to English as from voice to paper. And I insist that voice, la voix, is very important in that name for the reasons I gave before with the audio recording.
Okay. Would you please describe how your Scribiomemo service works?
I built it because in every society in the world, there has been scribes in the antique times. So scribes meant something, bio, life,
Yes.
and memo, memory. So I built Scribiomemo. So what in English, I used to say Scribiomemo.
Okay.
There was a first step in France. That first step was a previous and successful experience when I created in France a network which name is Les Compagnons Biographes. And this name could be translated into a biographer's companionship. Well, that was my first experience with a network.
Yeah.
And the second experience, the new experience of Scribiomemo. Scribiomemo has a different name in every language. And in English, the name is Scribes of Memory. And of course, it is translated in Chinese, Arabic, Russian, etc. But in English, it's Scribes of Memory, and the general name is Scribiomemo. And that network appears to be a unique concept, I must say. I think there is no, in the world, other international network of biographers connecting biographers from different countries and languages. So I'll explain. This network links together independent professional biographers, each writing in their own country, in their own language, with their own freedom and responsibility. But we collectively exchange the practices developed in various cultural contexts. For an example, in Europe, many countries, Australia, Russia, Argentina, Brazil, Cuba, and many African countries. And so far, beginning, so far, we represent 14 languages in 30 countries. But again, everyone is working and writing in his own language. And some Scribiomemo members are already skilled and most appreciated in their country. But others join for developing new capacities. Some of them were previously translators or journalists, and others came from various jobs. And if wished, for those who are not already skilled, if wished, I deliver them the necessary training. That is, for the training. And also for our international communication within the network, which is, it's almost like the Babel Tower, you know, the reason why we communicate in English within that international network.
I see. And what is your own interest in the Scribiomemo collaboration?
Well, let it be clear. Once a candidate is accepted, entry and membership are totally free. So it's no money at all for me. Biographer, already skilled, is interested by that network. He comes, is welcome. When a training is required, as I am trained to giving that course, I charge a fee for that. According to situations, that training, I give it in French in some cases, or otherwise, I give it in English for people in any other country, whatever his culture is. I give it, of course, in English, again, international language. So that is the first interest. When there is a training, I get a fee for that, of course, because it's a lot of work. And also, I appreciate the travel opportunity when lectures or group courses are required. I mean, of course, in ordinary times without COVID.
Yeah. Yes.
But in that case, I have traveled a lot in my life, and traveling for me is not a problem. So when it was necessary, I can come and meet people for the training on the spot. And anyway, if not traveling and if not training, the pleasure, big pleasure for me above all, is that Scribiomemo is a fantastic window, wide open, on the international writing words, as we are doing now across the borders.
So would you say that you are really a teacher in essence then?
Teacher, I'm not a lecturer in universities, not yet, but yes, I've been delivering that training for now 10 years, as I said, in French. Well, I delivered it many times in French. At the time, I built the network Compagnon Biographe, and also, of course, in English for some members of Scribiomemo. And the average duration for the training is approximately 20 hours. It depends, of course, of what the trainee wishes, but it's around 20 hours, either on the spot or maybe on Skype or Zoom, or when there is age distance.
Mm-hmm. Hmm. Yeah, 20 hours sounds like a good number. Not too long and not too short. That sounds good. In terms of the life story memoir writing process itself, how long does that take? And is there a time limit for completion on that process?
Sure, no limit. Well, indeed, it varies a lot. The average completion time is about 1 year. I should say 9 months. Well, let's say 1 year. But it can be many years if required. For example, in case of accident or illness. So in that case, the client says, I want to stop it for a moment. So that can last many years. And on the opposite, my shortest completion time was only 1 month. It was a very specific case with an emergency. It was for a politician. And there was one date, also it was a published book, so I had to work very quickly. It is possible. It's exhausting, but it's possible. And anyway, usually I don't like that much because it's good to take time, especially when the book is completed, to take time to make it a sort of decantation, you know. And after maybe 2 or 3 months, we, the client and I, reopen the book and we have a best critical eye on the book. So it's better to take time, of course.
Yes, yes. I could see why having a little more time would help. I could see that for sure, yes. Mm-hmm. Now, you live in the country of France. Does the country's philosophy, history, or culture, does that influence the way that you conduct the life story memoir writing process?
Well, I don't know for other countries, but it's true that, yes, in France, it could be associated with our literary tradition, with authors like Montaigne, Rousseau, Chateaubriand, with memoirs, of course, and especially Montaigne. Montaigne is my master, and I think Montaigne, over 5 centuries now, is still our great model, really, because he resonates with a sort of what I call an autobiographic pact. That is to say, that pact is between the narrator and the reader, final reader. That pact says that the narrator commits to being sincere and as objective as possible. Montaigne was really a very honest man. And the reader commits to believing in the narrator, and that's the fact. And I say thank you to Michel de Montaigne.
Yes, yes. Wow, that's some history. That's very impressive and very interesting. Very nice. Now, do opportunities exist for other people to work in the life story memoir writing field as far as collecting stories from other people?
Yes. Unfortunately, in this innovative job, it is difficult to find clients. I must say that. I must be honest. It's difficult to get clients. And for that, there are 2 primary reasons. Of course, the fees of the biographer make the project relatively expensive.
Yeah.
And also, and mostly, this job itself is not sufficiently well known. People know that ghostwriters exist for celebrities or powerful people, but people don't know that ordinary citizens also can get their biography. So the solution to get clients is to advertise. And that's what we are doing together. And advertise, and that's also a reason why I created the Scribiomemo network, because that network was a powerful website translated in so many languages, should get a real success with Mr. Google or Bing. No.
I see. You have had so much success in this field. I'm curious, what was your previous job or your previous occupation?
Nothing to do. It was very different, since I was, before that new career, I was a civil engineer. Nothing to do. But I must say, many of my fellow biographers also had various educations and experience, professional experience, such as commercial executives. One has been taxi driver or sociology, flight attendant, doctor, lawyer, so engineer, and it's a very wide range, even if some of them, of course, have been journalists, but not only.
Mm-hmm. Very nice, very nice. Now I have to ask, have you written your life story memoir yet?
You are not the first one to ask the question. Well, first, honestly, I'm too busy with writing other people's book, sure. But I must say, I feel the family pressure building, and they all want me to write my story. Yeah. That's it. But maybe one day, not sure.